In our two previous episodes of Market Journal, we've looked at issues that'll be discussed at the 2014 Cornhusker Economics Outlook meeting starting November 17th. This week, UNL Extension livestock economist Kate Brooks joins us to talk about the possibility of expanding the cow herd. That small inventory is helping prop up cattle prices not long after a prolonged drought forced farmers and ranchers to sell animals to help ease losses. The cattle in this state consume about a quarter of Nebraska's soybean meal, meaning fewer cattle could lead to less demand. It should be noted, though, the price of that feed is now much more affordable thanks to record corn and soybean crops. Kate joined us Thursday morning. We began by asking her to describe the current price levels for calves.
You know, we've seen a lot of strength in fall calf prices. Typically this time of year, calf prices tend to dwindle a little bit. A lot of calves come to the market in the fall, and so we see those prices decline. We have short supply this year, and we've actually seen those prices again this year in the fall have strength over earlier in the year.
That's what's holding it up right now, that tight supply.
Both sides. We've got the tight supply, we've got the feedlots that are wanting that bunk space used up, we've got stockers, we've got good pasture, and so that's beating the prices. Plus we've got strong demand, and so all of those factors are weighing in, helping to keep those prices strong. Okay, so for the farmer or rancher who's they have these calves, they're really expensive. Do you sell them now, or do you precondition and put some more money into them? It's every producer's going to have to weigh their options and sit down and actually budget that out. Is it worth those extra few dollars to go ahead and hold on to them, or is it better off for them to kind of sell now? Sometimes we get some premiums offered if we do a 45-day preconditioning period. Sometimes when the prices are up, you don't always see quite those big of premiums. So, that's one thing producers are going to have to weigh in, whether the cost of the feed and those extra few days are going to weigh in to help carry them through. The other issue is whether they sell them in 2014, hold them to 15 because of tax breaks. Okay, this is different than, I think a little bit different than last year and way different than 2 years ago where, you were looking to just cut and get through the winter. But now, is it different that you're actually looking at maybe expanding the herd? There are some producers out there that are starting to look at expanding. If you look at those drought monitor maps, Nebraska's out of a drought. Yeah. We've got some of the best pasture compared to a couple years when we probably had some of the worst pasture. And so we might have some forage available. We might have some of those resources that we might look at trying to expand the herd. There's other options. You could buy some stockers, hold your calves a little bit longer, or look at, either buying some heifers or retaining some of your own heifers. What about for the person who says, what, cows are really expensive right now, but I might want to buy a few and put them on my farm. What do you say to that person? We've got to look at our options. Right now, you can get up to $3,000 for a heifer, for some of these bred cows, trying to put them into your herd. It's going to have a lot of capital outlay. And so we've got to kind of look at where the prices are going to go. Depending on where we're at in the price cycle and what happens with prices, that heifer may or may not be profitable in the long run. So I think each producer needs to kind of weigh that out, look at what their unit costs of production are, what their costs per cow are. If you're a lower cost producer, you might be able to afford a little bit more for those heifers. If you're a high cost producer, you probably can't afford to pay for some of these. Let's talk about the feedlot for just a second. Tell me where those margins are right now. We've continued to see improvements, profitability in the feedlot sector compared to several years ago. Last year we started to see some of that improvement, but we continue to have open bunk space, and so those feedlots continue to squeeze that margin. Even though corn prices might come down a little bit, we've seen feeder calf prices continue to rise, and so, we tend to squeeze those margins. The Cornhusker Economics Outlook meetings will be held at 5 locations in Nebraska starting November 17th. For more information, you can contact local UNL Extension offices or visit agecon.unl.edu/CEO. Next week, Tina Barrett from Nebraska Farm Business, Inc. will join us to look at profit levels for crop and livestock producers and talk about determining costs of production.